Okay, so today we're going to build a really fast brushed micro, or a tiny whoop, using the FuriBee F32 flight controller, pre-flashed with Betaflight. I'm going to go ahead and start this by putting the power lead on the board. I've got a micro JST connector. I'm tinning the ends of both wires. Get a decent amount of solder on there. This is the board, and those are the pads with the positive and negative. Gonna take that iron, it's cranked up to about 480 degrees, and you should be able to just put your iron up against it and it should stick right to those pads for positive and negative. As long as you've got a hot enough iron, it should be fine. I like to add a little extra solder just to make sure you got a good joint. You can just go ahead and add a little bit to both sides. I'm actually using a bit of a thick solder for this. You can get thinner solder to do a job like this, but that's what I have at the moment. And then once you're done, just give the wires a tug, and if you're all good, then you shouldn't be able to yank your wires out. No, don't pull them too hard. Alright, so now here's the camera. This is a 5.8 gigahertz all-in-one video transmitter and a camera with a dipole antenna. And this is the board again, and we can see here where it says GND, or ground, and 5 volt. This is where the board provides a clean 5 volt power source for your camera, and these pads are very close to each other. So this is going to be the trickiest job for soldering. Same thing as before, tin the wires, but tin them very conservatively, because you don't have a whole lot of room and you do not want these pads to cross in any way. So just a little bit of solder, get it to flow. This might take you more than one try to get it done, as this is quite difficult. But once you got it done, you can do the pull test, just like this. Just give it a pull, and if you've got a decent connection, there you go. Alright, so now we're done soldering. Yay, we're done soldering. Or, no, some people hate. Okay, now this is the FuriBee F36 plastic frame, and these are the O-rings that go on the frame. These are to prevent vibration. Some people don't use them. I prefer to just put them on there because the board comes with them, so you might as well use them. Now, it's really easy to find out what way you put the board on. As long as you line it up with that screw hole right there by the USB port, you're good. You've got it in the correct orientation for the frame. So it is literally that simple. You cannot put this frame on wrong as long as you are lining up that screw. We're not going to screw in the other screws because we got to worry about the camera mount later. And I'm going to go ahead and put in the motors. Now, these are some 19,000 kV motors from Micromotor Warehouse, so these are awesome. Alright, so to start, I'm going to grab the clockwise motor as indicated by the blue and the red wire. Give it a twist. Twisting it all together to make it a little shorter and cleaner. And I'm going to go ahead and put it in this corner, and they go in these corners here with respect to that orientation, as you can see. So I'm going to fish this wire down through there. You can use a screwdriver if you need to push that little white wire through. And when you're pushing down on the motor pod for the first time, it might be a little tough, but give it some good force and you should be good. So I'm going to put the other clockwise motor right diagonally opposite of the other one. And now from here, it's really easy to determine where the counterclockwise motors, as indicated by the white and black wires, go. You can't put those in wrong at this point, so once that's done, you can go ahead and start plugging in the little white connectors to the board where they're supposed to be. Now, you might want to do this with the board off, but I prefer to do it with it on. I've done it more than once, and I use a little screwdriver to put each little connector in there, and it works for me. So, but this part can take a while. And then once you're done, you can clean up the wires and... Alright, so now we've got this camera. Oh, and this is the bind button, by the way. You can use that to bind to your controller. Figured I would just point that out. Okay, so this is the camera. I actually have it hot glued to the metal frame here. And I'm only going to use 2 screws. Even though it has a screw in the for the front, we're only going to use 2 screws to get this frame on here because we really can't use the 3rd screw. So I'm going to go ahead and put 2 screws on both sides of the camera, and that's pretty much it. And that holds it really well. You're not going to lose your camera or anything. It's got a nice strong hold. And there we go. So now the camera's on there securely. A little hot glue for my angle, and yeah, that's not going to move. That's a solid spot. All right, so now for the props. Now you can use the tri-blade props, or if you want a little extra flight time, you can cut down your props. You could use a nail clipper or a cuticle clipper, actually, to accomplish this. And that's really all you need to do to put the props, to get 2-bladed props. I mean, these look like they came from the factory, in my opinion. You can almost not tell. Alright, so now you can go ahead and plug a battery in real quick to make sure that it's working. I actually haven't configured anything, so it just powered up right there. Sometimes that'll happen. You're going to have to configure it all. And this is sort of what the battery cage might look like. This is a more completed whoop. You can cut out the front of the battery cage and add maybe a little pad to keep it from moving around. So that's sort of what you can do with that battery cage, because the stock cage is stuck. So there we go. Those are both my whoops, and this is going to be an awesome whoop. So I want to go fly now, or let's take it outside and do some macro with the finished product. All right. Alright, so this whoop is fast. As you can see, I did some speed passes and some flips with other acro in that video. Not very good because I crashed quite a bit, so I'm going to have to get used to this, as well as the speed. However, it is very, very capable. This is the fastest whoop I've ever built, and it's definitely due to the 19,000 kV motors. So, the FuriBee board can handle these motors with no problem. I've also got some batteries here I wanted to talk about. These are the 3 different battery types that you can use for a whoop like this. And I've tried them all, the Nitro Injectors, the Kados, and my LiPo, which is also sold by Micromotor Warehouse. They're all about the same. Either way you go, you're going to be happy with them. I've got this board here that I want to talk about. Now, with a whoop like this, you're going to be using a lot of power. So you're going to want to be able to charge up 6 at a time. This board has fuses in them as well, so you can sort of safely parallel charge your batteries. And when you're ready to go, you can just take up 6 off the charger, and you're done. So all of the parts are linked in the description below, as well as the CLI, or the command line dump. That is the configuration from Micromotor Warehouse for a whoop running 19,000 kV motor. So you're going to want to use that and copy that into your Betaflight. We didn't go over Betaflight in this video because I just wanted to keep it to building the whoop physically. But that's not too hard, and if you need any help with that, just let me know in the comments and I'll reach out to you. So if you have any questions about this build, or you have something wrong with your FuriBee F32 board, let me know and I'll try to help you out. From the factory, I did have to calibrate the gyro in Betaflight because it was completely off. If your movements aren't as good as you expected them to be, I would go ahead and check your gyro calibration because mine was way off. When you're too close to the Tyrannus X9D Plus, or at least my transmitter, the telemetry will flick on and off. It seems to have problems if you're too close to it, but other than that, I'm not going to be flying too much close range to myself. Like, I'm not going to be flying on top of myself. So it doesn't really bother me that much, although I would like to see this fixed in the future. And that's about it. So once again, let me know if you guys have any questions, and have a great day, guys.